Okay, let's talk about Dwayne Haskins. So Dwayne Haskins is a former first-round pick that played his college football at Ohio State. He obviously had a great season back in 2018. He broke a lot of records at Ohio State. He threw 50 touchdown passes, only 8 interceptions, and that really catapulted Dwayne Haskins to being a first-round pick. Personally, I was a big-time fan of Dwayne Haskins' game when he was at Ohio State. I felt that he had a big-time arm. I felt that he could become a great franchise quarterback one day. He won a lot of big games. He was an accurate passer. There was a lot to like about Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State. Unfortunately, his NFL career has not gone very well up to this point. He obviously recently was released by Washington, not even 2 years removed from him being drafted number 15 overall in the first round of the 2019 NFL draft. The biggest reason why Dwayne Haskins was released by Washington was due to his immaturity and off the field behavior. And, he broke several COVID-19 protocols. He was at a strip club without a mask while the team was trying to make a playoff push. And there was just a lot of weird things going on with Dwayne Haskins. Personally, I think that he was drafted into a very dysfunctional situation in Washington because ownership drafted him and not the coaching staff. Daniel Snyder put his name to drafting Dwayne Haskins when in reality none of the coaches were actually truly all in on Dwayne Haskins. So it's a very rough spot for your quarterback to be in when the coaching staff isn't sold on him, but the ownership is. And it just seems like things were never going to work with Dwayne Haskins in Washington as time went on. He was not very good when he played in Washington, when he got his opportunity to start games. He just wasn't very accurate. He was making poor decisions on the field, just didn't seem prepared, and it was a mess. He fell flat on his face. He failed as a franchise quarterback in Washington. And Dwayne Haskins really has no one to blame but himself because in the NFL, all you can really ask for is an opportunity to become a franchise quarterback. So he failed in Washington, but I do really, really like this situation that Dwayne Haskins is walking into with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And ultimately, I believe Dwayne Haskins will do great things with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe Dwayne Haskins will become a long-term franchise quarterback with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I believe him landing with Pittsburgh could really help jumpstart and turn around his NFL career. I can see Dwayne Haskins doing great things in Pittsburgh, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I really, really like this fit just because Washington historically has been a dysfunctional organization. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, they haven't had a losing season since 2003. Meanwhile, during that same time frame, Washington has had 12 losing seasons. Okay, so Washington, they're known for being a dysfunctional, not well-run organization. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, they're a winning organization. That's all about winning, okay? So I think that that's a great fit for Dwayne Haskins, going to a stable, well-run organization. And the Pittsburgh Steelers roster is really, really good. You look at the wide receivers that he's going to be able to throw to. You look at Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, James Washington, Juju Smith-Schuster. If the Pittsburgh Steelers decide to re-sign him, that's a really, really good wide receiver core. And Pittsburgh, they're known for drafting wide receivers very, very well, okay? And also, Pittsburgh is a solid offensive line, and Dwayne Haskins can learn from a former Super Bowl winning quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger has won 2 Super Bowls in his career. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He'd be a great mentor for Dwayne Haskins, in my opinion. And Mike Tomlin is a very player-friendly head coach. And the thing about Dwayne Haskins is this. What he can do in Pittsburgh is be properly developed. He can sit and learn for a year behind Ben Roethlisberger. He can learn how to be a professional franchise quarterback. And when Dwayne Haskins takes over, ideally, he will have talent around him to succeed and reach his full potential. That's the situation Dwayne Haskins is walking into. And I will say it is a low risk, high reward situation for the Pittsburgh Steelers, just because you're not bringing in Dwayne Haskins on this massive big time contract. It's a 1-year deal. This is pretty much a tryout for Dwayne Haskins, in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh, they're going to evaluate him. They're going to bring him in their building and see, okay, does this guy have the talent and does this guy have the mental makeup to become our long-term franchise quarterback to succeed Ben Roethlisberger? I'm not a big fan of Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph had a very good college career at Oklahoma State, but up to this point in the NFL, I've not been a big fan of his game. I think Dwayne Haskins has much, much more upside than Mason Rudolph, so I think Dwayne Haskins ultimately is the second most talented quarterback automatically on this roster. I do think that Dwayne Haskins, getting the wake-up call that he got in Washington, falling flat on his face, I believe Dwayne Haskins will learn from his failures in Washington. I think he's super motivated. I think he's going to come in, do everything he can to learn from Ben Roethlisberger, study that playbook, and I believe Dwayne Haskins will take over and become the guy with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I actually compared Dwayne Haskins to Ben Roethlisberger when he was coming out of Ohio State. I think that he's sort of a poor man's Ben Roethlisberger, but in a good way, because not very many quarterbacks are going to be ever as good as Ben Roethlisberger has been in his career. Ben Roethlisberger is a Hall of Famer that's won 2 Super Bowls, but I do think Dwayne Haskins has, some of the similar traits that Ben Roethlisberger has. He has, the size, he's got the big time arm. He looked like sort of a Ben Roethlisberger clone at Ohio State to a certain degree. That's the guy that I compared him to. So I really, really love this situation for Dwayne Haskins. I'm super duper happy that he's getting another opportunity to reboot his NFL career. And boy, oh boy, this is a home run for Dwayne Haskins as far as the situation that he could have, been given, okay? Because he could have landed with a, team that, was not very good, that didn't have a great roster. But no, he landed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, a well-run, stable organization. And as long as Dwayne Haskins just puts in the work, studies behind Big Ben, and is motivated and changes his habits and puts his foot down and works, I believe he's going to be the long-term franchise quarterback in Pittsburgh. My only concern about this fit with Dwayne Haskins and Pittsburgh is this. Mike Tomlin and his teams have been sort of loose in the past. And this past year, they've been a little loose. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's dancing on logos before the game. He's on TikTok. Chase Claypool coming out talking about the Cleveland Browns after Pittsburgh just lost the game. It's just some immature things. But the one thing we can say about Mike Tomlin is he's a darn good head coach. The only thing I will say is Dwayne Haskins, he was sort of loose and a little immature in Washington. I just have a tad slight concern that Pittsburgh's locker room might be a little too loose for Dwayne Haskins to deal with, because the thing about Dwayne Haskins was the knock on him was he was a little bit immature. And that locker room Pittsburgh comes across as a little bit immature, but I do think Dwayne Haskins will realize, hey, I need to stop being the immature guy. I need to be serious and take this, to heart, because if Dwayne Haskins cannot make it work with the Pittsburgh Steelers, then he's probably never going to be anything special in the NFL, because Pittsburgh, they're a well-run organization. They've got star players on their team, really good defense, really good weapons on the outside wide receivers. So Dwayne Haskins, this is it, man. This might be it for you. This is probably arguably your last opportunity to prove that you can become a great franchise quarterback. So I think Dwayne Haskins will take the opportunity and run with it. And I believe in Dwayne Haskins still to this day. And I believe Dwayne Haskins will do great things with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like this fit a lot. No doubt about it. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.